Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is. I got my boy here like always. 2 weeks later, here we are, work in progress. Let me start by saying where we're at today. Let's talk about the brakes. So we got Willwoods in the front, disc convergers in the back from a Scirocco, Willwood 4 pistons in the front. Every time you go on the forums, people ask, oh, what's your brake setup for a VR6, this, that, and whatever. Guys will talk about the back brakes. They'll talk about 280 millimeter rotors. They'll talk about 256. They'll talk about Audi rotors that are 5 lugs that you got to turn into 4 lugs and calipers and this, that, and whatever. But what people don't talk about is the brake booster and the master cylinder. So we have a brake booster from a Cabriolet, is that correct? Or Scirocco? Scirocco brake booster. And we had the master cylinder from a Scirocco, but we pulled that out, went onto Mementos.com, and I bought a master cylinder from them that works with Willwood. But our brakes are still a little squishy, so we're going to try to rebleed them again for the 3rd time and see if we could get that to work. So that's where we're at with the brakes. So I'll let you know if this is the correct setup to make sure your brakes work. We do have steel brake lines on the front. I went ahead and moved the power steering fluid. We used to have it back here. I moved it here because all the metal bottles that we had kept leaking. So I had to order an MK3 reservoir bottle, which I moved over there. And we'll be making a bracket for this later. But right now that works. Move the holes from here to here. Okay, so we got that going. I ordered an elbow so we could get the MK7 box in here. We got the short shifter kit. We're going to be changing all the linkages in here. And we're going to be right here from Euro Tuning. We have the shift boot. The shifter box kit to renew that so that we don't have any play on there. There's many videos of that. It's not easy. So that's time consuming. So I got to replace that. Went to Euro Tripping to get that. I don't know. It was a bit over $200. I got my boy here. What we're going to do is he's going to remove the radiator and flush the radiator. This way we can make some space. Because if you saw in the driving video, this fan right here was vibrating, which was hitting the dipstick and hitting this, which was causing the fan to vibrate. But of course, we didn't have it locked in. And then the reason this is happening is because we have an AC condenser in here because this was made to fit forward. So we're going to make some more space and then tidy all that up so that we don't have that issue. Once we remove all of this, we're going to go ahead and put the oil pressure switch in. We're going to put the AC condenser lines in to get that out of the way. We're going to take care of that front end first, and then we'll work on the brakes just to get that out of the way. Still have to remove the fender so that I could get the knee bar in. But before I do that, you can see here I got to adjust the height because we were rubbing a little bit because these wheels stick out a little bit because of the VR6. Unlike the back, these stick out. So if you're going to get RML wheels and you got a VR6 conversion, get 15x7s and then get 15x8s in the back. I decided, well, I'm going to remove that cluster because I found a sweet deal on an OEM cluster in really nice condition. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that back in. This way I could try to keep some originality. And I got to order a magic box from Sal to make my RPMs work. But in the meantime, I'm going to take the RPMs out of here and I'm going to put it where the cassette tape thing used to be down here on the center console. And then run my wire so that I can hook up my RPMs later. Get all this stuff buttoned up. We got the horn fuse I got to find. I got to make sure the windshield wiper works. I got the correct evaporator for the heater box because the heater box is from a GTI, from a Rabbit. It wasn't from the Cabrio, so I had the wrong evaporator, which that came in. We're going to be putting that in. Not sure if I'm going to get to all of this today, but that's kind of where we're at. And my boy's starting right now to remove the radiator, and we're going to flush that so we could change some fluids and get that all squared out before we start touching anything else and get the car started. So we'll be right back. All right, so here where we're at, we took the manifold cover off because we got another one that my boy sprayed up that looks a lot better. As you can see from all the work, when we painted this, even that's like dirty. I would like to take that off and clean it, but you probably won't even see it once we do the manifold. So here are the S&P. You can see here from S&P, the adapters that go on the compressor. And then you could take your MK4 AC lines and go ahead and screw those in. So we got those in. And then here's where your oil pressure switch goes. Here's the stock one. And then this is where we're going to put the one from Automotive. So as you can see here, I had to cut so I could get it to fit in this hole right here. All right, you can see that. And I have that cut right there, which I re-welded on the support beam so I could get the AC to clear. So you're probably wondering why I mess all this up. If you've been following on the video, you know that I have the support beam from S&P. See this piece here that goes across, and that reinforces this structure bar, and you can see it's tied in here in the middle, right here where the two screws are. And that's a whole metal solid piece, which that piece right there is more solid than this, because that's like 1/4 inch steel right there. So that's how I got AC running in here. So it doesn't matter if I cut a little bit here and there. So what I'm gonna do here, and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take and we're gonna cut this off right here, because the AC condenser is gonna fit in here. And you can see that we don't have that much space for the radiator. So we're gonna try to clear some space here to get it to work, okay? So we're putting in the oil pressure switch, got the AC lines hooked up. What is it, the high and the low, bro?
Yeah.
And then this line right here is just sitting here. It's going to the AC condenser. You can see we got the fan. So, I mean, you got AC condenser, the radiator, and you got fans. And I'll show them to you. This is a 21 by 11 AC condenser, which could get picked up on eBay. And then you can see the thickness of the radiator from S&P, and it's not top fill. So you have to use a bottle. And that's why we're using the MK3 reservoir bottle. So that's where we're at right now on this. So once we get all that squared away and cleaned up and get that to fit properly, then we're gonna go ahead and flush the power steering fluid. Because I made a mistake that was embarrassing, and I'm not even gonna talk about that right now. But I gotta flush that, and we're gonna clean this up and zip tie this up so that we never have to get in here again, then we should be done. So that's the plan on that. Once we're done with this part right here, then we're gonna work on bleeding the brakes, and then we're gonna adjust the suspension so this way we could drive the car. Once we know that the car is running right, and which it is, but stopping, whatever, then me and my boy here are gonna remove the fenders and work on the knee bar and the dashboard. Not sure if that's gonna happen today, but we're trying to move as quick as possible to try to get to that point in our lives. Because April's around the corner. And like I said, we work on this car once every 2 weeks. That's why my videos are not coming out every week. But once I do get the car running and once I'm out there on the road every day, I'll be putting out videos every day as far as, you know, how it's going, what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And we'll go from there. So we'll be right back when we're rebuilding all this stuff. You got anything to say, bro? So as you can see here, my boy bent the radiator support. He's putting on the new manifold that we had that we painted up. I went ahead and rewrapped this, so I just got to heat this up right quick. And he's going to go ahead and get this in place so we can start putting in the AC condenser, the radiator support. We got the oil pressure switches in. You can see, let me zoom in there real quick so you can see where the cut is and why I cut it so that we could get the adapter, the plug to plug in, the signal plug. And then, excuse me, then my boy's working on getting this thing in, which is a bitch because there's very limited space. So once we get that in, we'll be able to put in the radiator and the condenser. Now, this has to go in first because there's some tricky screws that once the radiator's in, you can't get to it. So we have to get this in first. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bitch. But, you know, even if you had a 3.6, it'd be the same problem. But I'm sure if you guys are not running AC, then you could, you know, you could do what everybody else does, which is, I think they take Volkswagen Passat radiators and then they turn them upside down so they could get them to fit, unless you buy an S&P one. So let's get this in. So here we are, we're back a couple hours later. Got the new manifold in. I went ahead and wrapped this. You can see it's a lot shinier now. So we had to take a whole bunch of stuff apart just to get this up here. Got the radiator in. Got new coolant in. I got to drain the power steering next. My buddy's working on changing the ends on, what are these called? The shift links? The shifter cables. The in links. And we got these parts from Eurotuning. And the whole kit, the shift knob, everything's on there. So we have all of that we have to replace later. We're just going to get this out of the way. So this way we could put the air box in. Another thing that I did here is that, remember I said this piece was hitting the fan? So I created and took a little, so you can see there, took a little piece of metal and I just made an adapter just to push this over a little bit It's still right here, but it's not hitting as much. So we'll see. That's the best that I could do as far as for the dipsticks goes. We got the AC lines all hooked up to the condenser. So all that stuff's hooked up. The only thing I'm missing is the line that goes from the top of the condenser to the dryer right here. Got the lines hooked up to the compressor, I meant. So that's done. The oil pressure switch is in. The fuel pressure regulator is in, the new one. That was donated to me by my boy. So we got that. A couple little odd ends that we got to do real quick before we start bleeding the brakes. This way we're just 100% sure that we don't have any issues like we did before. So we'll be right back when I drain the power steering fluid. I got to adjust the coilovers right quick and jump on that. So let me take care of that. You hear a little noise. I went ahead and replaced the power steering fluid so you can see it's clear, right? As if there's nothing there, but you can see how dirty that was. You can see how brown it is in the video. That thing was filthy. So I had to replace that. Got the coolant, it's full. I gotta start the car. We just put ahead and put the shifter, the new upgraded shifter adapters on the links here. I gotta wash this out real quick so that we could go ahead and start the car. But what I'm gonna do right quick is that I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the brakes because it's hot outside. And then once I bleed the brakes, then we're gonna go ahead and see how this car drives. And if it drives good, then I'll adjust the suspension. And then I'll go ahead and start with the linkage inside. I just wanted to try to get all this stuff done here in the front first, because we've been at that for from 7 o'clock in the morning. And I believe right now, checking my phone here, it's 2 o'clock. So from 7 to 2, it took all this time nonstop just to get the oil pressure, to get the AC lines hooked up, to remove this, to replace that. You know, we changed some hose clamps here too, and then to flush it and do this and then the other. So all that stuff to do right now is bleed the brakes, start the car, let the air out of that, let the air out of the power steering. Hopefully we get the brakes to work correctly. And then I got to adjust the suspension right quick. Just got to raise the car up on the front. And then once we're done with that, then I guess we could work on the dash, which will probably be another day, man. But I'm just trying to get this stuff done and see where we're at. The skids off the wheels right now. We're going to pull the car out so that I can rinse this off right here. I'm still waiting for an elbow to show up today. We got the suspension adjusted, and we are going to pull the car out to clean it right now so I can rinse off the front and get the car started to see how it's doing. This pretty much took all day just to get everything sorted out the correct way, but we don't got to go back in there. Besides, I got to go pick up some lag bolts, some bolts that are pre-drilled. So this is where we're at right now. We bled all the brakes. There was just a little bit of air in the back. Hopefully that fixed the problem. If not, then that master cylinder by Momentos is not it's not gonna fly, which is right there. So I don't know what to do. If you guys are running 4-piston Willwoods in the back and disc brakes in the back, tell me, can you just write in the notes down what master cylinder you're using, what brake booster you're using? So because I'm trying to figure that out. But if I get this to work, I'll let you know. We did change out the linkages over here, and like I said, we're just gonna bring it outside and just see how it works real quick and get this stuff to bleed out, and we should be good to go. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the next day, is Monday. I was working yesterday with my boy. This is what we got done yesterday on the car. Just want to kind of run down the list over here for you guys. So yesterday it took us 9 hours to do this. Let me go ahead and read the list. I removed the radiator because I had to, you know, get it set in place where I needed to be. I installed the AC lines to the compressor, to the condenser. I installed the oil pressure switch. I installed the fuel pressure switch, some fuel pressure gauges. I fixed the radiator mounting space, which I just said. I installed a new manifold, the top part of the engine. We flushed the power steering. We flushed the coolant. We fixed the transmission linkages, the links that are on the transmission from Euro Euro tuning. The shifter rebuild kit we haven't done yet. That's going to be inside the car. That's where I got to remove all that stuff right in there. Like that whole thing right here, and then all the little bushings in there, and rebuild that. So I got to take care of that. We filled fluids back up. Then we checked the brakes and we bled them again. Then I realized that I might have the wrong setup booster, so I got to order that. I do have a 23.5 master cylinder from Momentum, so that's the correct master cylinder. But my brake booster, I thought it was from a Scirocco, but I'm beginning to think it's from a Cabrio, so I ordered a Mark II Volkswagen GTI 16 valve brake booster from rockauto.com. So props to them, they had that. I gotta then see this check mark here, adjust the heights on the coilover. So I did that, brought this up a little bit, which still looks a little too low, but we're gonna check that. If not, I'll tighten up the dampers. But I still got things to do, like remove the fenders, remove the knee bars, check fuses for the horn and the wiper to make sure that works. Fix my brake light switch, fix the AC box, which I got to put the evaporator in, which is in this box right here, into the box in there. And then I need to run a wire for the magic box, make sure my vents turn on, install the new cluster, remove these fenders so I could get the knee bar fixed, and I could rewrap that because I just picked up some new wrap. So I got 20 feet of wrap right here. So we're going to go ahead and fix any imperfections that's on the fenders. You know, like I'm getting some bubbles there I need to fix. Replace the fuel pump. So yesterday we were working on this car. So this car only has gravity feed out of the tank to the fuel pump that's underneath with the fuel filter. And then it goes all the way through the lines into the, pushes all that pressure into the fuel pressure regulator, which then spits it out to the fuel injector and spits it out. The Volkswagen Cabriolet has an inline fuel sender, which this one has too, but it has an inline, an in-tank fuel pump, which that fuel pump puts out about 3.5 PSI, sometimes 4 to 6, whatever. But that helps send fuel from the tank into the fuel pump so it doesn't starve it, so that it pushes it. I wish I could find a Cabriolet fuel sender, but I don't have one. So I'm just dependent on gravity. But my fuel pump died yesterday. So don't buy cheap ones. If you're going to order one, what seems to work is the AEM 50-500 which is a 380. That's a 380 AM. And that one is a 044 Bosch style. So it's going to fit right there in line. Okay, you might have to get the barb fittings and whatever. You could get those on Amazon or whatever. Just order them and get those to fit. So that's what I got to do. That's the list that I got to do in order to get this car down the road. It's just to rebuild this, get this dash back together, replace this dumb fuel pump. I keep burning them out because I've been being cheap. I have this one. This is what the AEM looks like right here. Okay, there's a 044 style, and then you can see the barb fitting here. And then there's another fitting right back here that allows the hoses to attach. But this is an off-brand one. Apparently this one works, but I'm not going to use it. They say that you could actually put these inside the tank, and just let them sit in there, but I'm not doing that. If I do that, it'll be a smaller one to assist this one, so that fuel, goes in and then out. So we'll see. Anyways, that's what that is. If you want to see what a 044 looks like, right, you can see how big that one is. And then these are your standard Bosch fuel pumps. This one still works, but this doesn't have enough power to push fuel all the way through. I think this is from a Cabrio, so this will probably starve my fuel pump. Maybe it'll work, maybe it don't, because I know that the VR6 uses about 4 bars or 3 bars, which is about, I would say 43 pounds of pressure. So I got to make sure I'm getting that. So that AEM one is going to give you the 43 PSI that you need to go in here. So let me show you here. Let me open this with one hand. Sorry guys, here we go. So there's the new manifold cover right there, because we took the old one out. You remember we used to say GTA, just because this one's painted. This one looks good. There's my new elbow that I'm going to put in over there so I could get the box in. And pretty much I was just getting this all cleared yesterday, which you see in the beginning of the video. And then there's some gauges that we put in we're using those gauges right now just to test and make sure that we get the correct pressure, because we were having issues with the fuel pump. Like always, there's my everything hooked up. My AC's hooked up. I just need that top line to the dryer right here, which I have. I gotta install that, and then I could get the AC going. And that's about it. So hopefully the next video, if I don't run into any more problems, then I will be driving this car down the road, and then I could go ahead and start putting in more content on the car as far as how it's doing, what it's doing to me, blah 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 blah, and get it out there. You know, there's so much little things I need to finish up. Like I really need to finish up that headliner piece back there, and then just, you know, finish doing the sunroof thing. There's little odd end things, but I just haven't got to it because I want to just make sure that the car is running correctly and everything's good. So, and I'm not trying to half-ass stuff, you know, like, you know, my wire harness is from TDC shop, which is made for this engine to, you know, cooperate with the Cabrio. But, you know, when you're doing an old GTI and just trying to get the fuel correct and make sure that everything's going correctly, you run into some problems. I'm not going to say nobody else. And also making sure that all these disc brakes stop the car. Because I got 4 piston wheelwoods in the front. And Momentum is going to tell you need to use a 23.5, which I got the master cylinder from them, which that's what that is, millimeters. And then you need the correct brake booster. And you either use a Scirocco 16-valve brake booster, or you could use an MK2 brake booster from a GTI 16-valve. So that's what I'm going to put in here. Because I don't know, it just feels a little squishy. And we bled all the air out of it. I mean, I know there's no air in it right now. I'm going to go ahead and just drive the car. So I ordered that part yesterday. I ordered an AEM fuel pump because I'm not going to put in that black off-brown there, because if I do that, what's going to end up happening, my luck, it'll probably die. But I'll just keep that one there as a backup. That's kind of where I'm at on this. And just wait a couple more days for those parts to come in. And then we could go ahead and finish that list that I made right here. But as you can see in the check marks here on the list, if you see the top check marks, that's everything that we got done yesterday, and anything with the check marks. And then what I need to do is just those things right there, and whatever else I explained. So just stay tuned. You know, here's that cluster I bought, which is over there. Sorry, my son's bike's here. It's right there. Got that on eBay off of somebody. So I'm just going to be putting the stock one in, just so I don't rig this car up and have issues. So, and I want to just make sure my fuel and everything work. So that's where we're at in the car. Hopefully I could get done with this, then I could put some content in, because I got other stuff going on that I need to put on the channel besides just this car. So thanks again, guys. Subscribe, and we'll be right back.